Donald Trump has been on the record denying climate change and saying that humans have not had any impact on the environment, which is pretty hypocritical of him considering the fact that he bought a golf course in Ireland that has been severely damaged from rising sea levels. As a result, he and his company want to build a seawall to mitigate the potential damage of rising sea levels in the future. And in order to do so, in filings, they have indicated that they're very much concerned about climate change. Now, Donald Trump says he's not a big believer in global warming. He has called it a total hoax, bullshit, and pseudoscience. But he's also trying to build a seawall designed to protect one of his golf courses from global warming and its effects. Now, Politico reported on this, and basically what they're doing is they're applying for permission to erect a coastal protection works to prevent erosion at his seaside golf resort. In fact, the filings say, in our view, it could reasonably be expected that the rate of sea level rise might become twice that presently occurring. As a result, we would expect the rate of dune recession to increase.
Okay, so let's go back to Donald Trump being an idiot. So here's two things. He said 1,000 things about how global warming is a hoax, but two that I particularly enjoyed. He said in 2012, the concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive. Really? The Chinese went around the world purchasing 97%, then 99% of all the world's scientists to create this elaborate hoax in order to damage U.S. competitiveness. Like, you have to be a lunatic to believe that. Like, and there's now a significant percentage of the country like, oh yeah, Trump nailed it. Yeah, the Chinese, they came up with that hoax thing and they bought all the scientists. And all the American scientists, they were like, yeah, let's work with the Chinese on the global hoax business.
But that's the thing. I mean, I think he is a lunatic, but he doesn't believe it. Obviously, he knows what the impact of climate change is because it's affecting his business and he's doing something to mitigate that. This points to his hypocrisy more than anything else.
Okay, I mean, he's a fascinating guy, right? So he takes you for a fool, so he says things like that and thinks you'll believe it, and apparently a lot of you do, right? But at the same time, he's not very savvy himself, so he just knows what his self-interest is. Yeah. He's got like a very simple brain. Me want golf course. Me need to protect golf course. Me want presidency. Need to get those voters who believe everything is a conspiracy theory and a hoax.
Yeah.
Me get them, right? So when asked about climate change, on Morning Joe, he had this quote, I think it's weather. I think it's weather changes. It could be some man-made something.
Nailed it.
I'm not making that up. That is a direct quote. I think it's weather. That's not true. I think it's weather changes. It could be some man-made something. By the way, that's when he's walking it back now. Now he's like, oh, in order to get Republican voters, like, oh, it's a hoax. It's supposed the Chinese made it up in a laboratory or something, right?
Yeah.
Now he's like, well, it could be a man-made something in order to get general election votes. He's unbelievable.
No, but more than anything, his voters are unbelievable. The American people are unbelievable because he's now the Republican nominee. So what does that say about us, right, as a country, that this clown can make ridiculous statements like that and he can be a party favorite?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is more important than who he is because, yeah, he's a piece of shit. We all know he's a piece. Well, all the smart people know he's a piece of shit. But everyone else who votes for him, those are the real assholes, right, that we have to address.
Okay, so now let me defend them a little bit here, okay? Because most of them don't have any idea of any of the specifics of any of this, right? And some Trump supporters that I've talked to are basically saying, look, I hate this system. I just want to change it. So, I mean, I would have voted for Sanders, but some say that. A lot of them wouldn't have voted for Sanders under any circumstance, right? But Trump sounds like he's going to change it. I'm going to vote for the change.
No, you know what? I'm tired of making excuses for them, okay? We live in the day and age of digital media, of the internet. You have everything you could possibly need to educate yourself at your fingertips, okay? I'm tired of saying like, oh, well, they don't know better because, you know, the mainstream media is not reporting on it. Fuck the mainstream media, okay? You now have multiple sources to get actual news. You don't believe in watching news or you're worried about bias? Okay, that's fine. Do your own research. It's all right there for you. I'm not going to like caress their asses and make them feel good about themselves, okay? They're fucking idiots. They are. And I know that some of our members, by the way, don't like the fact that I call people idiots, but what do you want me to call Trump supporters? You want me to just say, oh, well, they just don't know better. No, they're idiots. They're idiots. I'm sorry.
On the other hand, maybe he's right that it could be some man-made something.
Let me read you some of his tweets, okay? It's not like you have to do any real digging. All you have to do is follow him on Twitter to know what an idiot he is. In 2013, he tweeted, "We should be focused on clean and beautiful air, not expensive and business-closing global warming, a total hoax." In January 2014, he tweeted, "This very expensive global warming bullshit has got to stop. Our planet is freezing, record low temps. Our GW scientists are stuck in ice."
There's no record low temps, they're record high temperatures. I showed it to you a couple of days ago. The charts are going like this on temperatures. But he's like, oh, record low temperatures, that's what it is. But on the other hand, maybe it's a man-made something.
But I can't call them idiots. I can't call them idiots for reading this stuff or maybe not reading this stuff because they're not doing their due diligence as voters in our democratic process. I'm supposed to pretend like it's not their fault at all.
So finally, Trump International Golf Links put out this whole memo on why they need to build this wall because climate change is coming. It's coming, and they have to protect not just their golf course, but Ireland against it. And they said, quote, "A do-nothing, do-minimum option will have the least impact on natural processes, but the existing erosion rate will continue and worsen due to sea level rise in the next coming years, posing a real and immediate risk to most of the golf course frontage and assets," right? So, of course, they're mainly worried about their own golf course, right? But they know that it is immediate, that it will have a real impact, and the only option you can't do is to, quote, do nothing or do the minimum, which, by the way, is exactly Donald Trump's proposal for what we do about climate change overall.
Exactly.
So when it comes to his golf courses, he's got to protect them from climate change. When it comes to the American citizens, he doesn't have to protect you at all.